Short summary to set expectations. I made roughly 600k in rubles over the span of 10 raids, dying twice, but successfully extracting in the other 8. Didn't really find anything of particular worth or interest. And to manage expectations, there is very little combat in this video. If you don't like watching people sneaking around like absolute bastards, this is not the right place to be watching. Right, now that everybody's interest in this video has been nuked, Escape From Tarkov. The new wipe is upon us, and it's the so-called hardcore wipe, with the absolute ball-busting features of everything being more expensive to buy and everything selling for less. In essence, the ruble counter has been hit with Nerf hammer. That's okay though, because I think I can still make it work by doing the thing I do best. Being the third most hated archetype of player in Tarkov, the sneaky, loot goblining, fucking rat. And where else to be a rat than on my favourite map in the game? Oh yeah, we're going to Reserve. Now, ordinarily Reserve has two primary extracts, Bunker Hermetic Door and D2. We are ignoring both of these today because they draw way too much goddamn attention. I don't have a Red Rebel, so Cliff Extract is also out of the question, and Armored Train is both a hotspot and takes most of the match time to wait for. For our purposes, that leaves the sneaky bastard extract of choice, Sewer Manhole. Located just down the road from the alarm switch, this extract's requirements mandate that you can't bring a backpack with you. Not exactly ideal for bringing out bolt loot, but for our purposes today, it'll work just fine. My game plan is pretty simple. I'll spawn in, run around looking for the loot spots that people aren't likely to be visiting, fill up on what loot I can carry, and then sneak around to the manhole cover extract, ideally while avoiding direct combat. Carrying out these raids is Pissman, the yellow armband wearing, default clothing wearing, single mag bringing rat, who also looks like he came from a PS1 game because RX 580s don't like running this game on anything past low settings. Bringing a Vepo AK with 1 mag, an Umka vest that was bought off fence, plus shattered dreams and ruined aspirations, Pissman spawned right outside train station. Not exactly ideal, given that RPVO Mark Room is right over there. We go into the Mark Room building to go through duffel bags, but the sounds of gunfire atop the bunkers convinced me to run in the other direction. Moving past the main road, we then hit up a ration crate which has some edibles in it before my utterly childish instincts convinced me to man the AGS-30 grenade machine gun overlooking the train station. Giving a poor scav a burst, I then fucked off away from the AGS-30 and moved on, but not before running up this watchtower to grab a pack of PAB 9 9x39 bullets and to loot a duffel bag which had a horse and a battery in it. Quickly eating a can of peas before taking a pot shot at some random scav on the road, I fucked off once again, this time to the garages to check a weapon crate and a couple of duffel bags, which had, amongst other things, a swaler. Did that for a quest. My looting adventures here were cut short by scavs running amok outside. Figuring that discretion was the better part of valor, I headed for the extract, but not before checking a couple of jackets and another duffel bag. Just as I was about to extract, I noticed a guy up on the radar dome. I spooked him with a few pot shots before leaving the raid, the first of many to come. Out of this raid, I came out with about 90k worth of loot, not including items I kept in my stash, which is actually on the higher end of income per raid that I made. After restocking, Pissman spawned up by radar station in Raid 2, immediately rushing to the unlocked building which has a safe, 2 cabinets and a PC. In the safe this raid was an SMT, an antique book and a horse, stuff that would sell nicely to Peacekeeper for dollars. There's also a grenade launcher up here that I manned, but not spotting anything, I finished off looting the items in the building. Running back over to the grenade launcher, I caught a glimpse of somebody running and fired a burst. Sadly, the rounds fell well short, so I ran down the hill to the NSV machine gun further down on the rocks. After a couple of minutes of not seeing anything, I moved to loot the jackets in that workshop building near Extract when I heard footsteps. Just a scav. I stole anything of value off his corpse, checked the jackets in a duffel bag, and extracted them out instant. Total income this time was, I have no idea, probably 60k all up because I didn't actually record selling any of this shit. Woe upon ye, open mic. I forgot to hit the mute button on my mic. Raid 3, Pissman spawned in the barracks building next to the train station. As you can faintly hear, I was pleasantly surprised to find a helmet in a weapons crate. Once again, I ran towards the hill of the AGS-30, picking up a couple of food items and a set of Apollo cigarettes. You'll see why I picked those up later. Banning the AGS-30, there was a scav on the road. Keyword being was. After splattering that poor cunt across the pavement, I moved on, once again heading up that small watchtower. Sadly, only a pack of War Mage rounds this time. Heading into the garages, I found that somebody had unlocked the RBST room. Unsurprisingly, they didn't leave much behind, but I did come out with a handful of random items. Instead of extracting from there, I ran all the way up to Radar Station, hopping on the grenade launcher up there. A minute or so of scanning showed up no results, so I went into the already looted safe building and picked up some random loose items that somebody else had left behind. Heading back down, I hopped on the HMG on the rocks for a bit. Here, I actually did spot somebody, a scav near train station. After mowing him down, I was then assailed by somebody lobbing tracer bullets at me. After exchanging shots, I didn't stick around, running straight from the HMG to the extract. After leading the raid, I also noticed a couple of friends were in Discord, so...
Just gonna have that same
That's
issue
the point
of
of
like...
besieging.
Oh, shitty talking it up.
Josh, how do you think they'd keep the player base interested if 1.0 release?
Given that they're struggling to do it now, I have no idea.
But they don't.
At this point, I played a couple of games with mates before hopping off and going to bed, so next day I continued the reserve rat streak, with Pissman changing up loadouts to bring something that was fully automatic and actually had an optic. Not that he got much chance to use it, because of course he spawned right in front of Glukar. I attempted to run, but just before I was in hard cover, I got 2-tapped in the back by 9x39, my first death. After that short clusterfuck of a raid, Pissman went back in, this time with an old favourite of mine from well back in the day, a PPSH-41 with a single 71 round drum. We spawned in the exact same spot as last time, but luckily Glukar and his goons hadn't, so we actually got to get out and loot. Our first box in this little checkpoint yielded a token number of 9x39 BP bullets, which felt like an ironic find given how Raid 4 ended. Running towards the cafeteria building, I picked up some food items and headed down into the basement, picking up an extra set of Polo cigarettes and even more food items, plus a couple of random hideout items that would be useful later. Venturing through the tunnels, closer to the command bunker than I would have liked, I came across a scav body underneath RBBK marked building. He had already been looted, but it took his moustache and a bar of soap for good measure. Navigating the rest of the building, I ran up to the radar station. Nobody had looted the unlocked safe building, so I ransacked the place for all it's worth. Intense gunfire could be heard over the hill, so I ran down to the HMG on the rocks, hoping to catch somebody. No PMC sadly, but I did chunk a scav into tomato soup with it. Having gotten my obligatory crusade weapon kill for this raid, I looted the scav and found a wallet on its corpse before extracting. Off the back of raid 5, I came up with a fair number of hideout items, but more importantly, I had also found a reserve key, RBMP13. Not a particularly good key granted, but it was something. Heading back in with the same loadout, Pissman spawned in the same location for the third time in a row. Apparently this was the rate of 545 ammo, because I found 270 rounds worth of this stuff, a mix of tracer and subsonic rounds. Hopefully, I also found a helmet. Taking the wall around the map, somebody took a couple of pipe shots with tracer rounds which whizzed by my head. Because of that, as well as because of the occasional burst of gunfire, I made a wide berth around the barracks buildings surrounding the helipad and ran up to the radar station. Somebody had looted the safe building, so I took it upon myself to scavenge what was left. Of course, I hopped on the grenade launcher again, but much like every other time so far, I didn't spot anybody, got bored, and went to go loot when what sounded like a bullet whizzed over my head. Sufficiently spooked, I finished my business and ran down the hill. Of course, I took the time to obliterate some poor scav at the HMG, before deciding to go check out the random guard tower near the fence line. While I was looting here, somebody flicked the alarm, and a little while later I saw somebody running. Once again, deciding that discretion was the better part of valor, I made my way to the extract and left the raid. but not before hopping into Discord again since I'd noticed people.
Minions fake AC.
I'm sorry, the what bug in the fucking new Siege?
So there's a castle bug where if you break castle's if you like use a crowbar to break castle barrier, it'll crash the game like for everybody.
Oh,
I got
lovely.
you bang.
So people are selecting him in ranked if they're losing to crash the game deliberately so they don't lose like they don't derank and so the enemy team doesn't rank up
Bruh.
to be scummy assholes.
That's so fucked.
And it's only because it wasn't like this any other time before.
Yeah, no.
What's with devs always breaking their fucking game?
Question of the century.
How Castle out of all things? I don't know. How did Castle?
On raid 7, Pissman spawned into that building where I'd found all that 545 ammo last raid. I found some pretty spicy attachments before rushing off the head around the map, deciding to turn back to the cafeteria at the last second. But somebody running on metal caused me to hit the dirt for a moment until I was sure they were out of sight and out of earshot. With somebody in the 3-story building next to me, I went about looting the jackets and the corpse in the cafeteria, coming out with more cigarettes and food items. After that, I dropped into the basement and went through all of the ration supply crates. Somebody had already looted them, but they had left a couple of quest items that I picked up before heading on my way. Checking the workshop attached to the basement, I found an MP133, the shotgun needed for the debut quest that I gleefully picked up. Moving onwards from the basement, I once again took a wide berth around the barracks buildings and ended up at the radar station again. The safe building hadn't been looted, so I picked up what I could, got in the AGS, got bored after a couple of minutes, and ran downhill to the HMG. Not seeing anything moving, I checked the jackets down in the little workshop building before extracting. I got a flash drive out of it, which was cool since I needed those for quests later. Once again, my monetary takeaway wasn't very high, but I did get a fair few quest items which I'd need later. Now, remember how I was collecting those Apollo cigarettes? 2 of them can be traded for a set of PNV 57 night vision goggles, which can be put on the tanker helmet. This is objectively the worst night vision setup in game, but it is the only set of MVGs that can be bought at level 1 traders, and with them equipped, Pissman could go full night mode. Spawning into the same location 3 times in a row, again, I found a whole bunch of ammo packs, again, before running off to the cafeteria. As per usual, the loot consisted of more food items and a couple of hideout items. That said, having heard sporadic gunfire coming from the train station, I channeled my inner mountain goat and climbed onto the roof above the cafeteria, where I sat on a HMG overlooking the arse end of the station. I couldn't see much, but eventually somebody walked into my sights. Whoever it was, they probably got torn enough. Happy with my kill, I walked into the 3-story building where I discovered that there was another HMG covering the landing pad with the helicopter on it. A cool discovery, but I didn't stay around for long, chunking another scav into pieces before I got the bold idea of running over so I could loot my kills. It was a bold idea, and it was a bad idea, since I hadn't considered that the area was buzzing with activity. I did manage to kill one guard, somehow, but then I missed all my shots on another guard and ended up in an absolutely terrible position. My second bad idea then came in the form of me thinking that I could get away with running right back into the enemy. Sure enough, I got shot in the face, and that was the end of my raid. Still, I had collected enough Apollo 6 for another set of night vision, and so I went back in under the cover of darkness, this time with Pissman spawning in the barracks building outside train station. Looting the assorted weapon crates and duffel bags, I found a few weapon attachments and even a whole SR3M before running over to the grenade launcher atop the bunker. Getting on the AGS 30, this is where I discovered that the site is absolutely terrible to look down while wearing night vision. Everywhere but the most well-lit areas was almost impossible to look at because of the darkness and the lack of contrast. Surmising that this was a terrible idea, I pressed on to get my first use out of that key I found a few raids back, RP MP13. Walking into White Knight and looting the jackets out front, I heard the footsteps of the scav. Rounding the corner, that scab was promptly folded in half by Pissman's PPSH. Going back to looting jackets, I found a second reserve key, RBRS. While I wasn't looking to use it this raid, it'd be nice for later, and so I unlocked and walked into RB MP13. The room was underwhelming, to say the least. The only thing inside that I found was a single filing cabinet. Oh, I did walk out with some items that I needed, so it wasn't too bad, all things considered. After finishing with MP13, I headed to the extract and safely left the raid. The SR3M on its own was worth a fair bit, so in my mind, alright raid. The last raid I completed spawned Pissman inside Black Pawn. Given that this building was a hotspot because it had RBBK marked room, I ran to get away, which was just as well because I encountered a duo of players heading in the opposite direction. I hit the dirt and let them pass before continuing. Running up to Radar Station, I found that the pair hadn't even looted the safe there. Oh well, more loot for me. Not that there was much this time around, save for 25k in rubles plus hideout items in the filing cabinets. Finishing up in that building, I ran into the main radar station building, looking around for loose loot before running up to go unlock RBRS room. Honestly, the place was pretty underwhelming. There were a handful of toolboxes, including a hand drill that I was pretty sure I needed for the hideout at some point, so I shoved it in my ass, secure container, but I didn't find any loose loot sitting around, so I made my way down to the HMG on the rocks, taking some pot shots at a random scav. Then a thought hit me. There were jackets on the roof of White Pawn that might have had something decent in them, so I headed up to the 4-story barracks building. While up there, I found a paracord in a duffel bag, which would come in handy if I ever found a red rebel down the line. Sadly, the trio of jackets didn't have that much that was worthwhile, and after taking the scav's head off with this game's PPSH, I ran for the extract. I did check the jackets in that little building before heading out, finding a rat collar which felt, well, very appropriate given what I was doing. I grabbed it, took a knee by sewer manhole, and before long, I was done with my little rat running spree. All in all, I had made about 600k in profit and found a fair few hideout and quest items. Was it a lot? Absolutely fucking not, but it was very low risk. Both times I died were either because I'd been spawned right in front of a boss, or because I'd consciously made a stupid decision and paid up the ass for it. Ah well, such is the life of a rat. And yeah, that's me spent for one day. Stay frosty folks, and I'll catch you in the next one.